Welcome back to Growth Catalyst Hub. In our channel, we see three things: skills to upgrade, productivity to focus on, and turbocharging your career. In this episode, we are going to look at what kind of feedback do you seek, actively seek. Feedback is not something that you let go, and feedback is not something which happens once a year during the appraisal time, but feedback is something that you actively seek from people, from your managers, from people whom you are working with, people who you are colleagues, people where you are doing projects as a team, especially from your manager. But a lot of times feedback is led to the instruments, led to the process, and it's left alone most of the times. Even in those times where you are sometimes seeking feedback, or sometimes where your manager is wanting to give you feedback, and these are called one-on-ones. When you sit in that meeting, you don't really know what to actively seek out for. What do we ask? And what are the things that I should ask for? What are the dimensions? What are the questions? And what are the things that I should actively seek feedback on? That is what we are going to look at in this episode. We are going to talk about the key things, the dimensions that you need to actively seek feedback, which will help you grow, lead, and upgrade your career, accelerate your career, turbocharge your career. Let's dive in. The first bunch of questions are all about self-awareness related questions. How are you seeing yourself? How are you seeing this role? And how are others seeing? And therefore, how you are seeing and how others are seeing are all well aligned with each other. Unless these two are well aligned with each other, how you see for yourself versus how others see you are well aligned, clearly, very, very clear to you, and are the same, it is very difficult to progress in one's career. Very difficult to do anything else. So self-awareness forms the most important axis, most important dimension. So we will start with that. This is a very good question to ask. What am I doing well in my current role? People rarely tell you what you're doing well. You are doing a bunch of things in your current role. You don't know whether those bunch of things are being done well, not being done well. So you want specifics here. You want extremely specific feedback on what are the things that you are doing well, what are the things that you are not doing so well. So typically this feedback is bucketed into three areas. One, what are the things that you are doing very, very well? What are the things that you are not at all doing very well? What are things that you're doing well, but inconsistently? You're doing sometimes well, sometimes not well. These three are the buckets in which you need to get this feedback on. But even before that, you need to know what are the role, what are the things that you know what you are supposed to do, supposed to play in your role. So on a day-to-day basis, daily work management, what are the things that you're supposed to do every single day when you go to office, when you sit from work from home? You need to know it very, very clearly. And basis that you need to ask, okay, these are the things that I'm doing within this kind of breadth of things that I'm doing. What are things that I'm doing very well? What are things that I'm not at all doing well? What are things that I'm doing well sometimes, not so well sometimes? When you ask for this feedback, you get to know some areas of strength that you are repeatedly demonstrating, some areas of weakness that you are repeatedly demonstrating, some areas of inconsistency that you need to tune on. The second question that you need to ask are, what are my biggest strengths and why? A lot of times, by the time you have got feedback on the first question itself, you have gotten a glimpse of understanding of your strengths. But this question further fine tunes that. When your manager, when your colleagues, when your project teammates talk about these are your strengths, you get to understand, okay, it may be surprising. It may be not very surprising. Many, many times it is not surprising, but you get validation of what you thought your strengths are and what you thought your not so strong areas are. And when you get that validation, it helps you to focus a lot more on your strengths. It helps you to focus and fine tune those strength areas. Maybe you are doing it well. Maybe you are giving it a shot, but you need to do it slightly differently and what those areas are. This helps you to understand the bucket where you are performing in an inconsistent manner. Maybe you need to do things differently. You will get an understanding of how people give it a shot, how people work on these areas. And this also helps you to see from others' perspective. What are the things, what are the habits that I have which is hurting my performance. These are not necessarily hard areas. These are not necessarily areas where your hardcore strengths could be. These are areas of how you exhibit those areas of hardcore skills, technical skills, but how you interact with teams, how you interact with your manager, how you look at your job, how you look at your company's requirements. A lot of times, those are the things, the softer areas, softer skills which hurt people in terms of exhibiting, bringing their hardcore skills, technical skills into play. And when you ask people, what are the things which are impeding my progress? What are the things that are preventing me from displaying and discharging my duties effectively? People will be able to tell you, you need to do this better. You need to perform in these team meetings before better. You need to be prepared a lot better. All of these dimensions, which are softer dimensions, which help you to do your duties better, perform your work better, will come out. This forms the first section, which is all about self-awareness, where you get to know a lot better about yourself. You think you are doing certain things. How are others seeing exactly same axis, same dimensions? This helps you to align with where you are, see from others' viewpoint as how you as an individual is performing your areas. The second area is all about skills and performance. The first question in that is, how do you rate my problem solving abilities? What would make it better? When you ask this question, people are able to pitch in. Are you good and problem solving? Are you able to creatively think through? Are you able to articulate your thought process? Are you able to effectively come up with ideas? Are you able to, in a crunch situation, not crumble, but effectively lead the team, add to the team, contribute to the team? Are you crumbling down when stress is there, pressure is there, strain is there? Are you starting to shout? Are you thinking calmly? A lot of these softer skills, when people are put under stress, duress comes out, and people will be able to effectively give you feedback in terms of how you as an individual is able to perform when there is a problem, and are you able to solve that effectively. The next question to ask is, are there any technical skills? Are there any softer skills that I should focus on, where I need to improve on? This gives people license to tell you about where you are lacking. It may be your core areas of skill where you still need to get a lot more depth, or the peripheral areas, what we call as a T-shaped career model, where you need to be very, very strong on a particular set of skills, which are your core skills, but you also need to be little reasonably proficient in a number of areas where you need not necessarily be very, very good, but you need to be reasonably understanding, able to perform, able to understand what people are able to saying. And this T-shaped model, people will be able to tell you what are the skills that you are expected to have, your core skills, how are you, what are the skills that you are expected to have as a peripheral skill, and how are you performing on those skills? But you will get tons of feedback when you ask this question. The next question is, in what type of tasks do I perform very, very well? And similarly, what type of tasks I don't really perform that well? When you ask this question, people are able to give you clearly that one, two, three areas you are doing very, very well. One, two, three areas you are not doing well at all, buddy. You need to improve on. That also helps you to reflect why you are able to perform in some areas. You are able to relate back to the strength that you have talked about, relate back to the skill sets that people have given you feedback, relate back to where you are not doing well and why and how you need to improve these areas. That helps you to think about, reflect, and gives you a window of opportunity to improve these areas. The last one, probably in the skill set and performance areas, is this question. As people, do I wait for taking decisions? Do I wait for direction from others? Or am I able to take calls myself? A lot of times, especially in this VUCA world where it is extremely uncertain and fast-paced, changing world, a lot of times you can't be waiting for direction from others. At certain stage of your career, you will. If you are very, very new to your job, you will be waiting for what needs to be done, to be told by your superior, to be told by senior people in the organization. But as you become more and more senior, even 1 year after you have joined your job, you are expected to take certain calls yourself. You are expected to know certain things, basis that knowledge. You are expected to take decisions yourself in your sphere of influence. However, you may not necessarily realize which all areas that people are expecting you to take the call yourself versus which all areas that is okay and it is advisable to wait for feedback and direction from others. When you ask this question, am I taking calls myself? Am I waiting for feedback, waiting for direction from others? You get a very clear answer, very clear understanding of where you are lacking and are you aligned, how you are deciding, how you are making progress, how you are taking calls. Is it aligned with the expectation of other people? That's a great question to ask. Please to ask that. I've given you about 30 questions. I've given you in 9 different sections. I'm sure you would have noted down. I'm sure you have reflected about it. This all sequenced in a manner which starts with your alignment in terms of how people see you and how you see yourself in the self-awareness dimension, going all the way to a leadership dimension, all the way to what you need to do here and now about where you want to go. When you ask all of these questions, and don't restrict yourself to asking questions to your boss, don't restrict yourself to that annual appraisal. Have a cadence of sitting with your boss at least once a quarter, if not a monthly basis. It is a great practice to sit your boss every single month, talking about what has happened in the last month and whatever has happened in the last month, how is it tying up with whatever has happened so far? And how is it all tying up with the future? It's a great practice to do this once a month, but at least once a quarter. Definitely, definitely, definitely once in 6 months. Don't leave it to once a year appraisal process. Also seek out feedback from people around you, not just the boss. People who you work with, people who are your project teammates, people who are in other sections, but you have coffee with. All these people are seeing you day in and day out. All the people can give you feedback, which can be absolute gold dust. Go after it, get feedback, use that feedback, think, reflect, demonstrate that you are taking the feedback seriously. And the only way to demonstrate is actually improving on the feedback, taking the feedback seriously and working on the feedback, going back to people, thanking them and saying that you are working on these 2 dimensions, these 3 dimensions, this specific feedback that they have given you. They will be very happy. They will actually look out for you. And when people start looking out for you, you are in the right place. You are in the right trajectory to go up and accelerate your career. This is the very, very effective way to turbocharge your career. Go ahead, turbocharge it. We will see you in our next episode.